Rapping and rapping, the crystals made it happen. Pistols start clapping like buoys at the second line. Rap cocaine have you going off the second line. My heart is a crystal, like Usher shooting juices through my love pistol. Rose quartz, my love miss you. Over leaking, I need tissue. In meditation,
Oh, one more time.
the bittersweetness in my verse make your love work. Hey. The bittersweetness in my verse make your love work. The sweetness in my verse make your love work. The verse is the universe, it make love work. Hey. Rapping and rapping, the crystals made it happen. Pistols start clapping like buoys at the second line. Rap cocaine have you going off the second line. My heart is a crystal, like Usher shooting juices through my love pistol. Rose quartz, my love miss you. Aura leaking, I need tissue. In meditation, healing mommy issues. I'm ill, my medicine is can I chill with you? Bumblebeeing in the moment, lavishly humble. I wanna slurp you up like the last drop of gumbo. I wanna put my papa leg bud in your ocean. Seeds thrive up in the womb cause of darkness. God going inside itself, Big Bang. Come over here and help me spark this. Matter of fact, self-realization was the first sexual act. Now it's the vibrate, meditate on that.
What's up, y'all? Now's the vibrate. Y'all know what it is. The space blessed with divine truth. On this beautiful Sunday, walking through this 111 energy. October the 10th, 1 o'clock. It was like 1:12 when I officially came on, but you know what it is. Of course, remember to hit the like buttons. You know what I'm saying? If you like the video. If you really, really dislike the video, don't like the video. But definitely, you know, if you support vibe with the video, hit the like button, you know what I'm saying? Also subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I do new videos. You know, any and all donations greatly appreciated. What's up, everybody? Melissa Hare, the legendary. Fire Belly Toad. See Me Grow, Amber Ellis. Mr. West Combs, NA 2 Saints. What's up with y'all? What's up with y'all? What questions? Q&A. I'm going to end up going on my little vibe about crystals soon. Just more so, again, like, genuinely understanding this experience. And realizing, too, that everything I do is blessed with the now moment energy, you know? Like, in the sense of, like, when I speak, you know, it's from the perspective of what's best for the now moment. Of course, that's in alignment with what I'm going through as I express things. But again, it's from the now moment. It's like, what's best? You know, because some ideas and thought forms, aka some gods, you know, thoughts and ideals, aka gods, you know, because source energy or the no thing energy, quote unquote, predates or exists, you know, before a god energy in essence. Because again, a god energy, technically, if you from doing all research and then, you know, from just metaphysics of how the mind works and then looking at the Gnostic scriptures and seeing how they call the angels, archons, and aeons basically thoughts or ideas of God in essence. And on top of that, reflecting on the aspect of this being a dream world as well. So it all kind of lines up. So it's like, how can I get new results by using the same thoughts, ideas, or the same, you know, quote unquote gods in essence? Seeing that part of the personification of American gods. This doesn't mean like, oh, so I gotta stop connecting with the energy of what Oshun represents, or Papa Legba represents, or Ganesha, or Loki and Freya, or however Quetzalcoatl. You know, it's just understanding. Again, anything that's stagnant. You know what I'm saying? In essence, stagnation is transitioning. So it's like remaining flowing, remaining fluid. Like water and adapting. So it's like not holding on to old thought forms, and things of this nature. And then also I've been catching downloads about how everything basically, like everything is an explanation of the after effects of this motion. So like the after effects of that dot becoming consciously aware of itself, and that dot shifting to another space and creating awareness in that space. Like literally, like, everything that we talk about is an after effect of that situation playing out. You know, we talk about the elements, because that's another thing I realized. Like crystals are like, like Avatar, the last Airbender, because crystals basically have the ability to, mediate between fire, air, water, earth, and ether. You know, through the fire or the magma that it was created from, the earth aspect from the earth elements, the air from the quote unquote oxygen or quote unquote gases that's considered, our quote unquote air, but the air element as well is just from, also secondary minerals or sedimentary rocks that, change due to the wind. So the external air, you know what I'm saying? And then also water, with a lot of them, especially quartz, where it grows hydrothermally, where there's water underneath the crust. You know what I'm saying? It's made with the water as well. But also I realized, just like Steven Universe though, I don't know if y'all watch Steven Universe, but like some crystals, and literally like, cause I'm like, all right, technically Moldavite would be beefing with hematite. Like if Steven, if Moldavite was on Steven Universe, you know what I'm saying? Or like again, it's like high vibrations versus lower vibrations in essence. And the thing is us realizing that it's not supposed to be a battle, but an actual harmonization, of the energies. While some uh, beings are promoting it to be like like a war, or like something, you gotta be against. And when I say that, I'm saying like some beings promoting the war aspect and promoting the perspective of further separation, not beings who bring up the aspect of spiritual warfare. Because again, you got to be aware of what's going on, and for lack of a better word, we use words like spiritual warfare, or there's a war going on inside of you, for lack of a better word. But again, like if there's a war going on inside of you, are you trying to amp it on? Or are you trying to, create harmony, within that environment? But yeah, basically crystals. And also it was a again like, and I saw somebody bring this up in a video because again I study like the as above so below aspect, you know, and also seeing again like elements, you know, again like every anatomy is mythology and mythology is anatomy, you know, like these elements, you know what I'm saying, also like have like a human version of them, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, there's some beings that are like noble gases, you know, as well. Somebody just recently brought that up in a video. Shout out to that sister. Uh Forgot the name. I don't want to slaughter his name, but she had just brought up about, you know, certain beings being like noble gases. And noble gases basically don't form any chemical compounds or reactions. So basically, you'll never get a crystal, like, or at least from what, you know, what has been proven scientifically, you won't get a crystal, you know, with these elements in it, you know, because they don't form chemical compound. Like it's only gonna be just helium, just neon, just argon, just krypton, just I think you say that xenon, you know. Now it's also due to it filling its outer shell, you know, again like when each shell is fully completed with eight and matter of fact, and don't go off of these, let's see. Cause I realized something as I was doing it, I was just going down the line and filling up the shell. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just again like where the first shell is like 2 electrons, then the next shell is eight, you know, and eight from there on out, you know. Uh, but I realized like iron popped up, and matter of fact, iron and something else popped up, and they aren't noble gases, but at the same time have a complete electron shell or electron cloud like a noble gas. Matter of fact, iron, selenium, and ruthenium. You know, because again, like the noble gases are like, and also like with a pattern like 8 apart. Like it starts with 2, and then it's like 8 spaces apart, 8 spaces, and more so because it's 8 electrons, so it'll be 8. And I was just going with that formula because I realized from argon to krypton there's like a gap, you know. Whereas like argon is right here at 18. Excuse the, and I know it's probably, matter of fact, I probably won't even be able to do it if it can't focus. I don't wanna mess with y'all eyes, but the Oregon is like far from where Krypton is, like down here, like, you know, compared to like where these like bam right after each other. But then again after Oregon, the next one is way down here. And I'm like, you know, noticing like, all right, what's up with the iron? And then also too, this little combination manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, and copper are all what create the protein coat on the phage lambda. You know what I'm saying? From from in connection with what Judy K. King was bringing up with the phage lambda and basically like this virus or bacteria in connection with, you know, us transitioning. But I brought it up because I was showing that these elements were highly magnetizing, like they had a capability capacity to be highly magnetizing. But again, realizing something with iron, and again, I always just as above, so below, you know, because again, there's truth in that. Nobody could deny. That's one thing with, you know, the 7 Hermetic principles or the 7 laws of the universe. You know, which let's reshare. I also got something else with my little. But again, you got the law of mentalism, the law of correspondence, and the law of mentalism, all is mind. The law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. Law of vibration, everything vibrating. Law of polarity, everything has a dual or a pole to it. So, if there's one extreme over here, if there's hot existing, then it has to be cold that exists. You know, if this light exists on this end, then this dark has to exist on this other end. You know, law of rhythm, everything has a flow out and in, rise and fall. You know, if anybody pay attention to astrology in any way, form, or fashion, that supports the law of rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, also cause and effect, which some people call the law of karma. Every cause has an effect. So for every little cause or action, there's gonna be something that, happens from that cause. And again, that goes back to everything being connected to water too. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of like cause and effect of, in the sense of like when you drop something into a drop of a liquid into water, or just water into water. But long story short, that drop splashes right there, but then a wave, like expands outward, and there's a bunch of waves, you know, that expand, outwardly, which is a effect, and those waves will go into another area, let's say, and mingle with some other waves. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like again what I was showing in what picture. Oh. Like again, like two worlds interacting. Again, a drop over here, a drop over here. Let's say this drop is the feeling of, excitement. And this drop over here is the feeling of, sadness. When these worlds, when these little energies, meet up, it's gonna have some type of effect. Like, all right, what happens when excitement meets sadness? You know what I'm saying? And that world or that experience be created, in between those two energies, or where they connect that, you know. But again, just looking at the laws of the universe, Hermetic principles, and last one, law of gender. Everything has a masculine and feminine. You know, again, everything has a masculine and feminine. You got things on your body that's made for penetration, and then you got things on your body that's made to be penetrated, and that goes for men and women. You know what I'm saying? Everybody with open parts on their face have parts that's feminine. Like our face, in essence, is more feminine. And the essence of everything in this part is, made to receive, in essence, and give and receive to some extent, but more so receive, because your eyes, what it's doing is receiving, it's recepting, the external realm. Now again, yes, in essence, we're like projecting, but like it's like again, it's like a quick feedback, like you're creating your reality, or in essence projecting it outwardly. So you're creating your reality, but then also receiving it and experiencing it as you're creating it, so it's just to get that in perspective. But again, it's still like a receiving aspect, like what you're viewing. Hope you're receiving that movie or receiving that show, through your eyes. And for sure, our ears don't send out sounds necessarily. Now I ain't gonna say it don't there's no telling what our body and our metaphysical capabilities are, because again, a lot of these books that's in mainstream, just in the mainstream in general, you know what I'm saying, may not speak to certain capabilities, you know what I'm saying, that again, and definitely that, a system built on trying to get you to depend on drugs instead of your own body healing. Because again, the body heals itself, again, speaking of crystals, like a walking crystal, like, because again, even realizing like how crazy it is, like the body, like, I had to like realize that with like catching a cold in essence. Like literally, it's the body getting rid of whatever it feels is, quote unquote unhealthy or causing a threat to the whole system. So, say for instance, the runny nose, the coughing, although we've been taught to be like, oh no, I'm gonna suppress my cough and stop that snotty nose. It's like, well, no, it's actually helping you to get rid of it. And what medicine is actually doing is like fighting against your defense system. So it's like basically like fighting against the body and sending the message like what you naturally do is wrong. Stop, being leaky, or, what you're doing is wrong. Stop coughing. When that's actually the help, so literally the medicines and stuff like that, and go Google it, research or whatever, don't take my word for it. But definitely, having that in awareness when you know, when and if, you sharing or inquire to share. Because that's another thing too, like more and more now in alignment with, not sharing insight with people who not trying to get it, or, not trying to force it upon nobody. But see, it's been a while since I went in and forgot right where I was. It's all good though. We're gonna get back to it. I was bringing up the Hermetic principles. Oh, and talking about the law of gender, and then talking about the face, and again, like the feminine aspects, again, nose, which the nose does both. It sends out air and receives. The mouth does both. It takes in air and it receives. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it sends out. So, excuse me, it sends out and receives, and the nose sends out and receives. But reason bringing that up again, back to the law of why I just tap in with the law of correspondence so much, because it is one of the best ways to kind of, again, align things with a provable truth, and at least, the aspect of understanding, like, all right, either one or two things, either this is real because it's aligned with the laws of the universe, or we're gonna go deeper and say the laws of the universe is fake, you know and it's a hint hint wink wink thing going on, where we're not gonna say nothing but the laws of the universe is really fake. You know what I'm saying? Now again though, considering, and what it started from was, again, me bringing up iron, because I was thinking about you got ionic bonds and covalent bonds and metallic bonds. And ionic bonds is basically where atom give electron away, and either cause a negative charge to that atom or a positive charge, negative or positive ion, you know. But again, an ionic bond is sharing, either one atom sharing the electron and the other one receiving it, and causing the polarity, the shift of it. Now, covalent bond is when both atoms decide to share one electron. So instead of the electron just being given away, the electron is fully functional or working, with both atoms, you know. And then you got the metallic bond. The metallic bond is more so like it's not a sharing, so it makes sense too, because it's like, all right, in most metals, or I could use this picture, because this is iron, even though I didn't meant for it to be iron at first. But the more electrons they got out here, the less you have to worry about if one is here or one is there. It's like if you got a bunch of iron atoms or iron molecules, then they don't necessarily have to be particular about sharing, and that's how metallic bonds is. Well, uh, what it is. It basically is bonding that occurs that's like a cloud. So instead of, again, like that direct sharing, it's more so like a cloud, you know. So basically, let's see. So yeah, unlike ionic and covalent bonds, which is a little more rigid, this one doesn't have single atoms joining together, but more so like, again, like within this little area, they just allowing maybe two, three, four of them to kind of just loosely, operate in this area. And hence why it makes iron, or should I say most metals, great electrical conductors, because they got more electrons. More metals are heavier in essence, and heavier due to having more electrons or atoms. Now, again, we can go on a deeper level esoterically for sure and say, just like a computer program, if this is a matrix, or, yeah, like a matrix, or like a simulation, that was the word I was looking for, and, like a program in that essence, then yeah, like certain aspects of science could actually be just a program, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like an app that we happen to be using, in this realm. And at the same time, like what I would bring up with, with the healthy eating aspect, I'm like, necessarily you don't have to eat healthy. It's more so like, again, a collective agreement. Like, before coming into this realm, it's like certain beings may have had like a collective agreement about, connecting with this or creating this type of reality. You know what I'm saying? Because again, what makes something a religion is a collective agreement. Is more than one being, coming together and say, all right, this is becomes real. All of a sudden, boogers become currency the moment that enough of people, what I'm saying, value boogers and see that as something to value. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, I kind of got that Ready Player One energy. But again, it's like what's happening though on the as well is like a checks and balance aspect of us being of service though. Like we thrive through being of service in some way, form, or fashion too. I noticed that it's like you have to be being of service in some way, form, or fashion to be in that thriving mode. But again, back to, whether connecting with science, and again, I've seen it across the board, from it being the algorithms, like a while back when I did the Self-Edgio tune video, and uh, I came across the information that showed how the Self-Edgio tunes, basically the gematria of certain Bible verses had a certain area of the Bible, the gematria of the verses had each solfeggio tone, like again, like a 528, 936, if that's one, but having them in the gematria of the verses, 'cause that's another thing too, where it just goes back to the numbers aspect. You know, and hence why gematria is, highly valued and highly important as well. Let me fall back for a second and see what y'all talking about in there. Oh, I'll go straight to a question. Let's see. You had mentioned on one of your videos about heart chakra, high heart chakra, and heart seed chakra. Well, first off, and with a lot of this, that's why I would always say take what resonate, leave what don't, and that's why I would always say, hey, I'm up on my growth just as much as you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna share, in essence, from a place of not having research or experience in some capacity, but we're bringing that up though, just basically seeing how much there has been growth since the beginning stages. There are some things that I now know that I wasn't aware of, in certain parts of my growth, because again, nobody, point me to somebody who knows it all, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, to the know-it-all in this realm. But what I was gonna say, of course, the heart chakra, if you ask, I'm saying. But my experience is like with the higher heart. I mean, in essence, like you, I guess. Like what you, like thoughts on it or experiences. Let's see. Have I had a particular experience with that make all I could share from that comes to that's coming through now is the vibrate what's coming through right now, uh and be aware of what's coming through. Hence why we gotta make sure that'd be another video with challenge. But working with higher heart crystals and realizing now again, this is what I wanted to say. There's more chakras or more nadis and meridians or the energy fields or ley lines in our body than what's promoted in mainstream spiritual, literature. So that's one. Two, with me though, I do kind of like, just allow for certain things to, allow for it to be more of a feeling than me just doing it because of popularity, or just because I see it in this book I'm reading. It's like, so what if I bought this book and I'm reading it? I'm not going to just take everything I'm seeing in this book as truth unless I really feel like my inner guidance system and that little, feeling and voice within, like, oh, all right, yeah, that paragraph right there. You know what I'm saying? Them words right there, you know what I'm saying? Like, that got a little truth in it, But again, like working with chrysocolla and turquoise, like great crystals for working with, again, it's like that midway of the throat and the heart chakra. So like expressing, you know, uh, if anything, also seeing like a connection with Chrysocola, working for the high heart chakra, but also working with the spleen chakra. Now again, the spleen chakra, it resonated, and because I start to see that even beforehand, like where it felt like if I felt like pains or energy buildups, not knowing what that was in essence, but it felt like it would be in like a certain little rib area. And then coming across the literature later on, but like I've had experience with cutting cards with the spleen chakra, where literally, and they spoke on it. What it was? It was a Judy Hall book speaking on it, and like cutting a card, and like if if it was successful, you'll feel like a pain that'll pop up. That's of that being that that you disconnected from. And when we say disconnected, from again direct unhealthy energetic connections, because again we are interconnected, like point blank period. And I'm aware I be catching, like observing myself and seeing, like again, like being aware of, like you know uh not getting lost in that illusion, because again here it is where a lot of days, sometimes some of us will be feeling like the energy of the collective, in essence. No matter how much, some may be NPCs or not, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whether it be cockroaches or butterflies, somebody unwoke or non-woke, whatever, you know, like you feeling, that collective energy, or you done felt it before if you're sensitive to energy, you know what I'm saying? So again, we understand the interconnected aspect, but again, there is, direct connections through, deliberate or non-deliberate interactions, you know, again, because it's just to levels to everything, in the sense of it's not just one given explanation that explains everything in essence. And be real with you, you know, our English words ain't doing nothing but just funking up the words is just a lot of times getting in the way more than helping. Hence why having to be so masterful with the with words. All right, Mr. Oh dang, I'm a the light bringer. What's up? What's up? I'm gonna put my. I have to again, like the Cash App will be in the details after the video, or if you look at one of the past videos and look at the details, I have it underneath there. Cause when I'm using my phone for lives, I don't know what it is, but it don't let me put in the messages. So I'm only entwining with the roots, say, rolling me one right, Meow, not now. She said right, meow. All right. All right. That's another thing too. Making sure like just being more again like more. It's funny, but that equilibrium. Like being aware of self without being too stiff. Like having a little fun. Like shit. Like and seeing the contradictions that could be let go or that don't serve a purpose or in the sense of like in one breath I'm saying be childlike, but then get so serious to the point where I'm actually creating unhealthy. It's like, all right, nah, like I gotta understand which, you know, how to align with this. But let me see. But yeah, with the crystals, and matter of fact, like that's another thing that's been coming up. That's my first time working with Cinnabar. And Cinnabar has mercury in it. And mercury is considered toxic to our bodysuits, at least in this lifetime, I like to say, you know. But with the Cinnabar, and I noticed, I guess, because people probably like again on some from a human perspective of uh like with lawsuits and stuff, shit like that. We're not posting Cinnabar because a lot of the either whether they not selling it or they don't even really speak on it. I guess in the sense of like because they don't want their literature to be. I don't know. That's some little. I can't deal with it. That's why I couldn't even go there. But yeah. Anyway. uh Working with this crystal, and I've been seeing like again, but which it has more grounding energy, to say it has mercury in it. It also has like a strong little grounding energy as well. But I could see where it's been working with like you know uh the mental aspect, the communication aspect. And no coincidence that I got it right around when Mercury retrograde started. So it kind of, it's all in synchronicity for sure. Tapping in with that. But also seeing like again, just the different aspects of like, you know, what's been going on in this realm as far as like, what came to me is like why, with crystals, it's all about the sun sign, you know. Like why there's not a crystal for your moon placement and a crystal for your ascendant placement and a crystal for your north node placement and a crystal, you know. But again, each crystal key to that placement, instead of just like, oh, it's just all about my birthstone, aka which is like your sunstone. But I realize again, like, and again, like with word magic, or not say word magic, but going back to like the etymology of things and just different connections of how, the word culture is connected to, represent also bacteria, and how we talk about how there's bacteria in our gut, and our gut, so you got bacteria in your gut, culture, bacteria in your gut, solar plexus area slash sun, sunshine, raw area slash lion, you know, all that. And again, realizing with a lot of this stuff, you know, is, choosing to like instead of just like in some places, some people were using it as just like, all right, signs, symbols, and sigils to, help me remember, or this my way of interfacing with source. A lot of it also just comes from like, in essence, what energies you kind of, you know, connected with more. Again, like from the air and fire aspect, or the earth and water. And Rudolf Steiner was, I don't know what he was doing, tapping in, or a surrogate author, or whatever the case may be. But a lot of his literature, uh, resemble a lot of trips I had, and just align up with a lot of insight. But he talk about, you know, the Luciferian aspect being like the air and fire elements, again, like the mental, intellectual, and also the aspect that's again like more of like the mental enlightenment, fire, spontaneous, you know, and then he talked about our mind, energy, or a deity called our mind, being connected to like the earth and water energies, and that's more the energies that's like, responsible for like the reincarnation cycles, you know. But it's pretty interesting. And again, like what I always, again, going back to the last Airbender aspect, it's like the being who has the ability to, be balanced within all, those elements, and not being extremely in one. But again, like the sun sign with the crystals, that's coming from at one point, how much the sun, was valued or seen as the main thing on that level. So it's about, so it's more about that sun sign in that sense of it. But again, like every little, been coming across little cartoons, shit, and I even laugh because I want to do a little mixture. I'm trusting that the little copyrights, like, I. It's been a while. Maybe I didn't need to say that part. But I was gonna say the show P Valley, having a crystal in P Valley, one of the, spoiler alert. But again, dealing with the strip club, and be real with you, another spoiler alert. And that's what I like too. Like, what's tight is when I could find like esoteric little concepts or meanings in movies or shows that's not presented in a metaphysical way. Like P Valley basically was like the Persephone story, and the boss at the strip club, representing like the androgynous, like, Hades energy in essence, or Baphomet energy to some extent. But like and going into the underworld, because the strip club was like, like the underworld and stuff like that. But uh, the bouncer, he was ex-military, and to help one of the little queens out, he gave her a piece of carnelian. He was like, yeah, somebody gave me this piece of carnelian out when I was, in the battlefields or what have you. And, I use this now for like protection and stuff like this, but here I'm giving it to you. But, from that, you got the movie Uncut Gems, the movie Uncut Gems with Kevin Garnett and Adam Sandler, where Kevin Garnett basically scrying. They show how scrying work, but he like scrying into the Ethiopian opal, and he see his childhood and him hitting 50 points in a game, and all kind of shit. And he like, oh man, I gotta get that crystal. You know what I'm saying? But it's like it's there, and again with any of this, bringing up the evidence of it, but it's not the end all be all, or like it's more so like just evidence of the science of elements, and how they work in this realm. Because again, you're a walking crystal. You got what different levels of oxygen, nitrogen, calcium, all that inside. You know what I'm saying as well. First and foremost, the crystals are helpers, but again, like I realized why, you know, they're like the main helpers on spiritual growth. Again, like because it embodies that last avatar energy, like I said earlier. Balancing all the elements into one experience. Like one experience, balancing all the elements connected to the ethers, connected, fire, water, air, and earth. X-Men. Matter of fact, I still gotta scroll and get with some more questions because this is a Q&A. I ain't forgot. Matter of fact, 'cause that's important right now. Not being what some may call trifling on purpose, you know. But, understanding when you do, now's the vibrate. If you see yourself have a moment, love yourself unconditionally. Love yourself unconditionally. You are in that moment. But the X-Men from the 90s, like only the real ones that know when I start to hum that and matter of fact, and be real with you, and look, awareness of self, because that's a part of the program too. Like intro songs and all that, you know what I'm saying? Again, like we got to be aware of what we programming into ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Because, again, that's just nostalgic within itself. But, like, watching that, like I watched past, like what I could remember as a little kid, and I'm talking about the sauce was drip. I even posted on my TikTok one of the things connected to the same thing they're doing with all this little promotion of these sicknesses and stuff. You know, it's like it's in the cartoon in the 90s. How it like how could I be a conspiracy theorist? How could I be a conspiracy theorist at this point? With all this evidence. but but yeah, and that's what, and I'm gonna get into questions, but with the X-Men, with the Phoenix, when they got into the Phoenix series, and they came across some beings, because it's also with the Kree Scroll, so it was like the air again. But they had this crystal that if you had it and you did something with it, you would be able to create your own world, but literally the whole world would get sucked into it, quote unquote, which is like a dope concept. I'm like, cause that's a me thing. That's that little nerdy, esoteric, dimension jumping aspect of myself. I like mind bending type of ideas, but basically something happened and it literally started sucking everybody into the crystal, but everything, like, so the spaceship kind of got sucked inside out, started from there, and just everything, but I'm like, if it's just infinite space, so it just be sucking in, everything forever in essence. But dope concept. But you had that and X-Men. Of course, you got the show Steven Universe. You had another little show called another little movie called Onward, where he had like a little staff to try to bring his dad back with magic. And that's kind of like that Osiris story, again, because it was a staff, like, like, and it had a crystal he had to put at the end of it, a phoenix. Matter of fact, speaking of connected with X-Men and the Phoenix, in the Onward, the crystal that they had to connect with was like a phoenix crystal. Bethany Williams, Chrysocola, it has more of a divine feminine energy, but not a divine feminine energy to where a man couldn't work with it or wear it. But again, everything is about percentage level and what you're working on or who you are as a being, and your energy. And yeah, Chrysocola real good for the communication, especially again, like for me, with definitely like with speaking on stuff too that like that you deeply feel moved by, you know what I'm saying? And again, like and where it really helps it too is like emotional balance and emotional support in the essence of delivering the message, you know, with a level of where, say for instance, some things that we may have a strong emotion about, we know we may not be able to deliver the message without making the emotion, harmful in some way, you know what I'm saying? Not even say harmful, but you know what I'm saying, like, where it's just like, oh, you know what I'm saying? when we're not trying to have it be, expressed in that manner, because again, in some cases, you know, it's meant for you to, be whatever is meant in the moment. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, you know, it's like a certain level of balance have being established with the emotions, so the expression could be expressed without causing no friction, unnecessary friction when you're not trying to cause friction. You know, again, it's not about all trying to be nice all the time type of energy. Because genuinely, like when you start to love yourself and take care of yourself, stuff like that, you naturally do have an energy of like, and especially when you don't really care, you're not getting into arguments or debates about, it's like shit, you in your little peace, man. You ain't. Right. Cause matter of fact, and as you bring that up about like it's the ego that makes you believe that we could teach someone how to live their experience, you know, it's like that's cause that's what I always like try to make sure that again, I'm sharing from a perspective where I'm not trying to get you to see it how I see it, and at the same time, it's like, you know, like just in the essence of it, trusting that if you're showing up here, whatever I'm saying, you know, has some type of, it helps you in some way, form, or fashion, because I'm of the essence now. Again, you know, for the benefit of insight on spiritual growth, more so, esoteric aspects of your spiritual growth, and especially dealing with crystals, certain subconscious aspects, psychedelics, you know, the areas that I tend to, from my own research and experience, so whichever way. But and when I say research too, also not just internal, just as much as external. But yeah, like with calling ourselves a healer, it's like like I ain't healing nobody, even if I, you know, or should I say possibly when I deal with Reiki. I know that I'm just a helper. Once a person gets to a space where they feel like I'm gonna let this person heal me with the energy through their hands, again, that's them. Their mind is in that space where they could accept that, that whatever they believe helps them. You know what I'm saying? It's that simple. Just like a lot of people got the ability to do Reiki before they quote unquote get certified. Quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of certification just be for, the physical representation of, solidifying the insight in essence, and just to say, like, it's like magic. It's like a magic item. Cause it's so much percentage of an energy in this realm that promotes where's the piece of paper, where's your certification, and not knocking it. Just I'm just jokingly expressing it like that. But with that energy, it's like all right, But again, I realize it's possible though, in the sense of like again, it's just you just gotta stay on it with your energy and aligning with just knowing your truths and knowing what you're capable of. But mm-hmm. And with any type of work, you know, again, spiritual work, because I see people asking about card cutting. The best, you know, and this is, again, me expressing more so from how I align on my spiritual growth, but also because I've, seen the truth in the fact that my inner world creates my external world. So when dealing with anything external, you know, like I always definitely, again, like discern and understand that, yeah, it is like this ex- external expression of an energy, like trying to hold on to my energy, but it's also an energy inside of me that allowed for me to take actions to allow for that to exist, you know, and transpire in my realm, you know. So it's kind of like just having that awareness of accountability with, again, like the creator of your, I imagination and creating your reality, And again, I said that a while back in some way, form, or fashion, like, like we're figments of each other's imagination. You know? That's it. I ain't saying that's it, but hold on, I gotta. Mm-hmm. But getting back to it though, the card cutting, kyanite and selenite, my two favorite crystals dealing with, card cutting activities, especially black kyanite. Got this little megalith, this little talisman. And also, again, like things pop off, like having that imagination popping. Like have your little talisman like this in the astral plane that you visualize and you could see, because again, a lot of stuff we could be taken care of with, visualization exercises. You know, again, it's visualizing bringing your aura in, or visualizing not having your crown so way out there, like where you still could tap in, but, bring your energy in a little bit, visualize, a certain chakra spinning a little more if it's feeling like, it's underactive. But no, and again, like and I did a video on Patreon about it too, like, like also not just cutting cards, but also like, again, everything is about, pulling out the root, you know. But also as I say that, as I say pulling out the root, you know, damn. Like remembering though with like on levels with doing like shadow work, in essence. Let me see, I ain't write it. I did not. But not like perpetuating, the past. Like it gets to a certain point where all you gotta do is just be fully present, you know, like where it's no longer necessary to keep kind of like, doing reflective work on certain situations. You could kind of now like move forward. So, like being aware of that energy, of like, all right, I'm kind of like choosing to stay here because I got enough of energy to, do this or do that, and I'm not doing it. But yeah, with the cutting card aspect, you know, whether it's a wine or a small, piece of kyanite, visualize you cutting the card to visualize that other person on the end. You know. and making sure you do the internal work to not attract, those situations back to yourself, because then again, it's like you being the toxic one if, you know, you're getting mad or, feeling some kind of way, but you're doing something to continuously attract that situation, you know. Hence why, again, stuff be so real about tapping in with our subconscious and seeing, like, what are we, subtly programmed by. As you bring up that about Saturn, I also, for some reason, I guess this may have some type of relevance. Of course, it got some type of relevance, but uh, with the 12-year Jupiter transit, but again, more so relevance to now, not know like, oh, again, remember the Jupiter transit every moment of your life. Nah, because again, a part of uh, realizing that, like, a part of how I align myself in a balance or equilibrium with, things. I deal with astrology, but not to a rigid, perspective. But I do understand, like, it's, truth that it express, but without, again, like, oh, today Mercury retrograde, so I got to do this or you know, like, yeah, you have awareness of it, but it's not to, like, where it, like, almost like, rules over you, and stifles you to that extent. But, like, realizing that Jupiter, so like how Saturn takes 30 years to, like, transit through, your whole little house system. Which I did like a wheel side by side, but but it take, no. So if it started right here, again, it would be like rotating through all the constellations, and then when it get back right here, you know, because also, like, understanding, like, the past spaces are marks in time, like, again, me moving my hand like this, you know, if I stick my head, if I stop my hand from moving right here, right now, if I stick my head right here, I could feel or tap into my hand energy, even though it's not right there no more. You know what I'm saying? On, like, a quantum level type of thing, because even, the aspect of, you know understanding how to blend sidereal with a sidereal, however you want to say it, sidereal, sidereal with Western astrology, because it's like, all right, one of them kind of go off the perspective of astronomy, one of them go more off of a fixed, a fixed map or system, in essence, you know. Things constantly change, and again, like, with the way light travels, what's seeming like is out there, that image may be an old image, you know. Like, we ain't yet seen the image that, you know what I'm saying? Like that, again, like how it takes certain things time to travel, or quote unquote, as far as, like, light. And again, that all go back to the different levels of the water and navigating water, you know. That's why astrology, are with people navigating ships, is about knowing where the stars are at. Even though they wasn't doing nobody birth chart in that moment, they still was like, all right, such and such over here, so we must be, this way, you know. Shout out to the anime One Piece. You know, One Piece fire. But again, so when we're 12 years old, when we're 24 years old, when we're 36 years old, when we're 48 years old, and 60 and 72, and you just again add 12, 12, 12. But we'll basically again like experience that Jupiter transit. So in essence also, so like when I was 12 years old, whenever I made 24, in that moment of like that full transit, feeling some of the energies, kind of like almost in like a little retrograde sense, feeling some of those energies of when I was, 12, you know. And again, like, and and another thing is like, all right, well, how does this apply to, like, how does this help me on my spiritual goals? Just knowing Jupiter transit 12 years, like, what the, you know, well, it helps with understanding yourself because you may be able to point out certain aspects of, understanding yourself better, whether you see, again, from positive or negative. Like, all right, when I was 12 years old, 24, I did uh, thrive at my math work, or when I was, 36 and 24, I did, get more into my artwork a little more for some reason at those age, but again, it's all again like little points and map. It's like again like everything is an explanation of what popped off after this movement, making the flower of life. And I also been catching like to also think about it from this perspective. So like how they show the flower of life, with the different, circles, but we looking at it from an aerial position where it seems like again like they just all around like at surface level around this little area. But what if and spiraling in the golden mean ratio where it'd be like the length of whatever we would want to call one, and then one plus one, so two, and then two plus one, three, and five, then to the whole golden mean thing. But yeah, it just again like helps us get more clarity and understanding about ourselves, and understanding again it's a never ending story. So it's like understanding, like yeah, now the vibrate. Why am I here now? You know, I'm here for some reason, and again, like a lot of things show us like this is your the area where you always, this is where you thrive at. This is where you're not so well at. This is where you thrive well in mental aspects. This is where you thrive well in emotional aspects. In the fall time, you do well at this. You know what I'm saying? Like, gonna see if I'm gonna answer that question. I'll get back to let's see how far behind I am. So I don't put my hand over. I know the mind control aspect been coming up. You know, seeing how much like the type of shows that's coming out right now and the messages that, you know, subtly in a lot of them. You know, wait, because I know I was bringing it into, yeah, with the mind control. But you know, from seeing the truth of it with you know, acid with LSD. You got the show from Netflix called Wormwood. You know, where they you know, where they showed the tampering with the, you know, with the acid, but using it, you know, as almost like a truth serum and a mind control you know, chemical in essence. And that doesn't make acid or LSD all bad. Because again, I done had fun and I done gained clarity off of it. But I also saw how, like, oh yeah, like your mind could be, you know, you definitely could be tampered with. And it's different because I don't know why, because it don't feel like that so much with shrooms and DMT. For sure not DMT. DMT, you know, it definitely feels like a you know, like a, in essence, transition experience, but you feel more like, for whatever I want to call source energy of that energy that always, you know, allows for us to feel that comfort or protected, you know, in dangerous moments. And you know, like that energy kind of is felt more in it, at least for my experiences, you know, because it had moments where darkness, you know, like it was showing me again, like the darker aspects of existence, and even that didn't, like, you know, it didn't make me feel scared or fearful, you know. But yeah, and again, like with sigil magic from, you know, advertisement, because again, if just on a simple level, and show you how the magic and metaphysics is being used equally on the, you know, in Hollywood and stuff like that. You know, if I bring out Garfield again, and I remember that when I came out with Garfield, Mercury was in retrograde in Gemini. Uh, you know what I'm saying? It's going to bring up energies, you know what I'm saying? Like that day. And then also, not to mention, and what's funny, I just learned this. I mean, I could have guessed it, but even still, I didn't. But learning that LCD, like your LCD screen, that's on mostly everything. And most computers and technology in general, anything that use some type of software mechanism, it has like a type of motherboard or something of that nature. Even air conditioners have quartz in it or crystal. But like LCD standing for liquid crystal display. So it's literally like a magic spell, you know what I'm saying? With crystal quartz, every time you deal with your technology, crystal quartz is again like, and hence why I would always make the analogy: nothing's all bad or nothing's all good, because you got crystal quartz helping you with your meditation every day, and then crystal quartz not helping you with your meditation every day. You know what I'm saying? Because it's programmed and directed to to do otherwise. But again, like, even within that, again, and planning things in certain days with certain planetary transits, you got a big amplifier, you got quartz in your hand, uh, do a bit of look, right here, look. Bridge of Ra, what's up? Imuna Tikva, what's up? What's up? From Toronto. Matter of fact, you see, I like that's another thing. Like I like joking, and like right now, on a level of having like that awareness of you know, to let like the expression of jokes be genuine and be aware of like not trying to mix jokes into everything, especially when I'm expressing certain aspects of spirituality, because it does help to have like again like a like that clear expression of it in essence. And that's not to again not to say that you can't laugh or clown, but it's like definitely make sure it come natural. But all right, Toronto. Do y'all say bruv in Toronto? Or that's only England. I'm being countryist. I'm being countryist is. It's when you're Kojo Sergeant, Hood Afternoon. All right, I done reached everything. All right, cool. Now let's see. Lynn Smith. Let's see about this little question here. Mm-hmm. that's what I guess it kind of got me. I have met someone physical attraction with. You got a word. If you're gonna hit me with a long one like that, you gotta word it a little better. So, cause I'm not gonna touch it if I can't touch it clearly. You dig? Cause again, for the most part, you know, and I'm grateful for always being able to like you know, remember that, you know, like we're sharing insight, quote unquote, with people are sharing like my perspective, because that's what's being shared, you know, because even if source, you know, moves through me, and of course I could be a beacon of that energy, you know, it's still, you know, coming from my body. Boy, I was about to. This was stemming from. Why was I going there? What's up, Miss E or Mr. or Miss? I don't know, Imuna Tikva from Guyana. Guyana. But nah, getting back to with the aspect of giving advice, you know, and again, like I would just share from my experience, you know, like hey, from my experience, because I already know how the mind works in the sense of a person would want to, like they're hearing you say something and they literally like gonna try to just go with whatever you say instead of, you know, like actually hear it out in some cases. So, you know, it's like share from perspective of, like I say, see, I call it, drew a blank again. Something with that energy. Oh, what's up? Cause that's the second time that happened. Something don't want me to break down those energies. Let me see. Cause I know I'm gonna get back to it again. Again, it was back. All right, giving advice. You know what I'm saying? And again, speaking from my perspective. And right, because again, like what people would like take something, and again, like most likely just want to go with it. It's like said on a level where, you know, it allows for it to not come off as like, oh yeah, just go do this, you know. And again, with a lot of that stuff, you know, unless I'm doing like a, you know, a consultation where I gotta hear that type of stuff, or you know, or in a moment. But even then, it's like, yeah, like consultation. Hmm. energy harvesting and swapping destiny. Well, it all starts with, for sure, like with, you know, understanding the root to whatever, you know, whatever caused you to attract that situation. You know, cause, you know, I done seen things similar. You know, I done experienced things that kind of felt like, you know, it was like, oh wait, this almost felt like that's what happened. You know what I'm saying? But uh again, you know what I'm saying? It's like just tapping into knowing yourself, like in the sense of just pay attention to, well, for one, again, like, you know, do the card work, you know, cut cards. Also, you could do the, you know, pulling of the roots as well. But like, other than the card cutting work or the pulling the root work, let's see, cutting card, root work, you know, something else on the non-physical. Oh, and going back to what I was saying, and then also again, like making sure to, you know, see what, again, like what type of energies is going on inside, to make sure that don't pop off again, to allow for that to keep, you know, happening. You know, because again, in a lot of cases, again, it is inner work. Like, honestly, you know, because again, when you get too much into the, like, where we talk about these things without fully talking about it, it could come off as like, oh yeah, bro, somebody could just bam, just bombard you for, you know, harvest your energy and swap your destiny, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, like, nah, you have to allow that to happen. And if you're allowing that to happen, you have to have some type of mentality, you know, from a traumatic perspective, where you allowing yourself to be, in that sense, taken from, or whatever the case may be, And then after so long, yeah, it's like you build like a attachment, or energy, in that sense. But it's like just constantly, for myself, like just constantly making sure I'm in alignment with being me and doing me, and don't allow for my environment to, like cause me to start being like it, in that sense. Just being but like again, doing visualizations to call your energy back, you know. But because again, at some point, it does go back to like what you believing in. Because if your mind constantly feeling like, are focused on let's just say your mind constantly focused on the problem, you won't get to a solution. And also with some energies, you gotta be able to work through, strong pains, you know. I realize, where it's gonna be transmuted, but it's just like a surgery. Some wounds are deeper than others, you know. Some take a band-aid, some take 20 stitches or 50 stitches, depending on, how big the wound is. But again, just doing your energy work, taking your spiritual baths, working with certain crystals that help with that. Matter of fact, jade is a crystal that's known for protection from hostile forces. Fluorite is great for protection from external influences. You know, and I always, and again, it's like in this perspective, like your integrity and your self love is that's our protection. Like, cause I realize again, like nothing could run up on you or nothing like that unless you create, like you got some type of mental perspective that's causing that to show up in your realm. Point blank period. And if you're saying otherwise, then you're saying that something else got control fully of it. I always did, and then it's like, well, then what and then the standard. We have our moments, but like, just always get back to self, and again, doing those practices, doing that again, whatever visualizations, meditations to help, visualizing, detaching from that energy, cleansing that energy, you know, again, this where that new age spirituality aspect got it right, but it did it in it does it in a manner that makes it seem off putting, in a pretentious manner. But having to love ourselves and unconditionally honor and accept ourselves, you know, so not bashing ourselves or that person for that attachment, because I was sick to allow it, and they in a sick mode to rely only on, what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be, you know. And just energy work to raise the vibration, in general, food, exercise, and chakra work, breath work, breath work, and more breath work. But again, it goes back to working on getting the mind in a certain place, because I realized the Truman Show effect whenever I start to get fully in the present, and I start to kind of leave behind like memories or in of a certain harmful situation, and not that I'm pushing it to the side, it's just that I'm so fully present that it's just becoming something that's no longer relevant, that something will try to pop up like on some Agent Smith, Matrix type of vibe, like something will try to pop up to remind me of that, trauma, or, bring me back to that place. And it's like, and that's what alignment, and hence why, again, like the alignment to transmute it internally and be, quote unquote, protected externally. But again, it's a mentality. It's knowing that nothing could harm you. It's knowing that you have no enemies except for the ones that you allow and create. You know, like, yes, there are antagonists in this. There's antagonists in the realm that's serving their little purpose or whatever. But again, uh, it goes back to the mental perspective. Doing the energy work. And again, if it just seems like whatever it is, you're dealing with, you know, seems like it gets worse. Again, you just, consult each little different type of, whether it's again the spiritual bath, the meditation, visualization, having to do a reading, having to get, do a cleansing, whatever. But, you know, in the essence, because I could only speak from my experience, you know, it's the mind. Like shit, your mind is the gold mine. Because again, your mind and the way you think is what creates the situations where you put yourself in vulnerable situations to be, quote unquote, where something could quote unquote unhealthily attach to you, or unless you feel like you came into this realm unhealthily attached to a certain family member or person, place, or thing. But say Sagittarius, Pisces. Yep, that's another thing too, and that's why, like, when people express to me, again, like you say, asking me from my perspective, because in this realm, I realize it is what works for you. You know, I see people pray to, to saints, or even still Jesus, or or give some type of little, energy to God from that perspective, or source from that perspective, and you know, things seem to be working out. But again, like, everybody is and they live, we have that collective or objective truth, but then there's again subjective truths, because that's what magic is, subjective truth to some extent. Is our magic relic in essence. Well, again, like your lucky ring is magic, or it's your lucky ring, or say for instance, this is my lucky ring, and it makes, I find new crystals every time I wear this ring. You know, that's not true if I get this ring to somebody else, or but which that would be unlucky. But let's not say lose it. But I get this ring to somebody else, and I don't explain all that to them. Like, I just give them that ring. It's like, all right, now it's their little ring for whatever they subjectively feel it could be for in their realm. Yeah, the only crystal that could help you from that is your, your heart crystal, your solar plexus crystal, and your mind crystal. Connecting that heart, gut, and first eye, and I say it jokingly, but seriously, like, in essence, whether it's doing your research, like whatever way, form, or fashion, create a way, and let's just say, let's start from here. In whatever way, form, or fashion, creating a way to solidify in your mind that you know you don't have to get no fucking jab. Now, however that is for you may be different, but let me bring, for example, like, one of the reasons that helped me are I realized like the more I would, whether, some stuff through my own experience, because I did always have like an insight where I had like an inner knowing, even if I didn't read the book or something, like I just always knew, like I knew this shit was what it was, despite how we say we don't know nothing until certain parts, but it's some stuff that, may come to some of it. But I see the tangents. But what I was gonna say, just it going back to our, all right, in the reading, like where when you get to a space where, again, I got this book, like, so I know of Dr. Sebi, I know of Dr. Leala Africa, I know of Bobby Hemmett, I know of you know, this brethren, shout out to Riza Islam. I know of if I didn't bring up Dr. Sebi, I know of the book A Message from the Water, Like, I know of this book, so I know that water is affected by words, and I know I'm 70% water, so I know that I'm healing myself with my words and my thoughts without no medicine, and that the science is proven, and like pay attention to in life when you may have been like, you felt like you was right about something that may have been later on false, or whether it was false or not, but like anything that you were strong about, you never like attracted a situation where nobody really fuck with you about it. Why? Cause you just knew, like, y'all better not say nothing or ask me about, And I realize, again, for me, and where that'll come from a lot of times is, the aspect of, doing your research and stuff like that, because again, it has to be you. Nobody here is a martyr, like I'm not here to save nobody, like, what I'm saying, like everybody got, I'm not no pet guru or a pocket, the pocket encyclopedia, what I'm saying, like, again, we all tapping into a space where we could, understand these things for ourselves, again, because with that inner knowing and that strength of like knowing, like, I ain't gotta take no jab, or I ain't gotta, I know, like, when you know that the doctors are promoted to try to be like unhealthily, because that's toxic on a emotional and energetic scale, to like try to guilt trip people, like they're trying to guilt trip you into taking a lot of stuff, where you don't necessarily need it. And especially if you ever ear hustled a conversation in a hospital where somebody was aware and they let the doctor know all kind of shit that they couldn't do and better not do. Like, down to like with delivering babies where they, you could express where y'all don't give me no shit. Like, I want to have this baby natural. Don't give me a mother thing. No pun intended. But, don't give me nothing. And it goes off of, again, though, how much you're strong about the awareness of it. Same thing on the flip side. It's funny, again, like just transmuting that energy, you know, hope if it's not coming out, it ain't meant for me to talk about. But yeah, it's just, Imuna. Yeah. And again, like there's people I know, like uh like Riza, yeah, Riza have like little posts of like dealing with that at the job or places. But again, it's it's a mental, or like again, just how much you solidifying your connection with that knowing of and again we say knowing because another thing what came to mind too on the real level is like when we tapping into wanting to know about certain things, from the perspective of not just going off of what we've seen in books. Even if you see a bunch of books that may express the same truth, we can also tap in astrally, you know, and tap in with, spirit guides, higher self, our inner being, and and get answers and insights from there. But also, when stepping into that realm, having to leave behind like what we quote unquote say we know from. So let's just say I wanted to know about like how our voice vibration deal and our thoughts deal with water. Or I want to know more about it, and I would go into a meditation about it. I would have to leave behind what I saw and heard from this book, and because again, the only way I could receive, and as I say that, it takes that precision to be aware of ourselves because again we are taught to kind of like all right, whatever I seen, if a bunch of people read this book then that's what that is. And if you know again on the simplest level, that's how most things are promoted. But again, with anything, and like I always say, with watching videos or reading or whatever it is, picking your crystals, whatever, it's like trust what your inner guidance or your gut is, what your little inner feeling is letting you know in those moments, and not just go with everything. So it's not like just taking everything I'm saying on this video and running with it, but just when those moments hit, like, oh shit, that message was for me, or whatever the case may be. But, you know, but yeah, it's definitely the awareness. Any more questions before I go? That's basically it on the crystal vibe. Oh, and check out that video too, because again, like brushing up on the skills of like just showing how crystals, work and make sense again across the board. If you want to talk from what they show in movies, if you want to talk mythology, if you want to talk, what they say, and if we want to use quoted fingers for science, but what they speak on in science, you know what I'm saying? Again, from what I've felt from my own experiences, you know what I'm saying? Like, all that, all that. But what I was gonna say, oh, tribal luminescence, like the tribal luminescence of the crystal. Have you seen that video where, just by clashing together again, so, and like seeing it in real time, and not over a camera, it kind of looks like a little lightning strike, you know, going through the crystal, but basically, what I was trying, yeah, like a little lightning strike going through the crystal, and again, like just different ways of showing, like, hey, whether you want to talk in the Bible or, you know, whatever little literature, they're gonna bring up, or some little hieroglyph got something look like a crystal. And again, first and foremost, it's just like it starts off as, in essence, like a concept in some way, form, or fashion. I've heard, I just call it that insight. Yeah. Cause again, like with thoughts, I just thought about, like, again, the thoughts and ideas. Again, these were the gods spoken of in the aeons, archons, angels, But yeah, matter of fact, and that's why crystals like think about like Petersite and lapis. That's why those two crystals are so like they're so well rounded, because they have like multiple different crystal structures in them due to having multiple different elements or minerals inside of it. But what that also does is, again, like, is a mixture of a bunch of different elements. So it has more of that, or in essence is like, a teacher of how to balance yourself when you have all these quote unquote different variables involved. Like, literally, you know what I'm saying? It's like this how you, stay solid, not in a stagnant way, you know what I'm saying? Because everything vibrating, but this is how you stay solid with all these different variables, involved in this situation. Because again, yeah, you want to, with certain crystals, or you're doing certain work, you want to program the crystals, so program a certain, like, hey, you're for amplifying my awareness of every time I catch a sugar hankering, what's the emotional reaction that comes right before it. I want to be aware of that Cinnabar or lapis or whatever, So yeah, you could put that intention and, sharpen the focus. But for the most part, again, they work, on their own as well. with a cycle that's hard to break. Trying to think of anything. Again, staying present is possible. So again, because when you're fully now and fully finding ways to, create in your now moment, that creates more new memories and new experiences in those now moments. Again, like detaching yourself from those past experiences or that that cycle. But in essence, because again, you're talking from, I guess, so let me speak from a place where it depends on what that cycle, is pertaining to, on what would be your particular approach to that, you know what I'm saying, on that level. But we're hard to break cycles, paying attention to the lesson loops, like, understanding the language of my experience, of seeing like, all right, if this is like a little cycle, let me do something, different to shake things up, you know, uh, like, so, like sometimes I done spontaneous things to kind of, and not in a continuous like you're doing in everything, it's kind of like calculated chaos in essence, it's like a moment where I could, because literally it's like a deja vu. It's like, oh shit, this seems like, you know, that same. So again, like, do something and switch it up. But then again, like, the main thing is like trying to understand what's triggering me to have this certain emotion or feeling that's causing this to re-pop up. Because again, the cycle popping up because I keep on having this certain emotion or energy. So it's like finding ways to like get yourself to being at peace with being more fully present in your now moment, aka moving on from that past traumatic experience. you know uh let's see. And that's where journaling come in handy, of you keeping a record of when you felt what, when, because like I do that sometimes too, to keep a record. Like, all right, when I started to meditate more, this popped up, and then when I started meditating less, this what happened. When I did this, you know what I'm saying? Like, but just keep record. And again, like, now's the vibrate, and in the sense of, like, again, like creating like now moment markers, because it's like you're doing sigil magic with your experience. Like, your now moment is sigil magic to be more present and to move forward, in a sense of like, if I have a dope ass experience after, and I'm not saying I'm sharing from from the wholeness of it. So again, like, hearing the fullness of what I'm saying, and not just saying like, oh yeah, just go try to uh, like, this is not trying to neglect, from that perspective. But like, where you have like from being present, and just finding ways to or just say being present in the now moment, like you would literally like align with could keep going in and out. Yep, all right, yep, because I was talking about, so you would literally like mind control, or like, again, like subconsciously program yourself where your past flashbacks will now be experiences that was more recent, in your experience. But again, because in essence, for me, in my experience, like like if you had to call it something, it would be like chaos magic, in a sense of like pulling a little of whatever's right from each little thing. Like I don't discriminate because a person look a certain way or none of that shit. Like if the what they saying sound like some saucy shit, and it's and it feel like I'm feeling my inner being like yeah that then but because again it's a balance with like first and foremost, like I do the sit down, reflect, loving aspect of the work. Like again, like loving myself and loving and forgiving myself and whoever was involved in that, traumatic experience that caused that, that cycle, and then from that place, let's see. Things keep popping up. So all right, you do that inner work of like the self love aspect, and it seems like things continuously, still popping up again. Like you just do all the forgiveness work, cutting cards, taking your spiritual baths, but in my experience, again, the cycles that seem hard to break, it's like being aware of what, like, in essence, that's when things kind of shift to emotional intelligence for me, you know, when it has to deal with cycles. Because in essence, what creates cycles is our response, our reactivity to things as well, so it's like, how do I react and respond? Because I realize, again, that's where, the inner work to be more aware of self, where when you see things coming, you're ahead of it to where you could respond in a manner, instead of reacting the same way you react, you're able to respond because you kind of had like a little premonition of it popping up, so you knew how to respond to it, you know. And by constantly creating that in your now moment, again, our now moment creates our future. So if my now moment consists of me embracing this aspect of myself, being aware of it, and then also being fully present where I'm not just dwelling on it, anymore as well, like, and hence why, with a lot of stuff with, for me, is about like, hence why sometimes I feel some kind of way if I deal with a person or place of my past or something of that nature, of like having to understand, like, like, all right, what's going on, and understanding like it's not necessarily anything, quote unquote, bad, again, from the perspective of what I'm speaking on, but understanding, again, like, it's it's an inner work, and there's a certain cycle or a certain energy that causes us to have certain experiences. But let's see. And I can't remember the exact name of it. That'll come in handy. But I did a video about it'll most likely be probably in my 2018 videos or my 2017 videos. But I did a video about how to shake back, like when you feel like your back is against the wall, energetically, the certain steps to take, you know, as one of those step here's 5 different ways videos. But you know, because again, it's a blend. Again, now it's a vibrate. Certain moments is meant for you to be a little more assertive about your actions, and then it might be a moment for you to be a little passive, in a sense of like, because what I always express to certain people too is like like spiritual rope a dope. Like Muhammad Ali. It's like in certain moments, it's best for you to not, swing back and just let whatever it is tire itself out, and then you could swing your haymaker in that sense. But like not again, because one would say, oh, that's like, oh, Muhammad Ali letting that's passive. But shit, that's what helped for him to again, like in the words of Nipsey, it's marathon. So like being aware of that aspect, and again like just you know gratitude for the thing, constant gratitude for the things that are going well. And again, like I realize just the more aware, the more I raise my vibration, the more I'm able to, and again, like what makes it tough to like break these cycles is because of the habitual nature of things. Because a lot of times, again, we see what needs to be done and everything, but we're so in the habitual nature to giving into that cycle that, again, we have to do something to break out of that cycle to create something new. Why do I lose on this place? Other than probably being careless with your crystals. But the crystals move with us like how they need to move. Some crystals, are with us for certain seasons and reasons, you know what I'm saying? Like I might be using a agate, strongly at a certain moment for implementing patience. And but let's say it get to a point where now I'm like overly holding on to it. So I missed the cue of when the universe let me know, hey, all right, put the agate down. I didn't get the cue, so the agate like, all right, shit, the first moment you give me a chance, I'm out, you know, for the best, for your good and my good. So next thing you know, it's like you're looking around, like where my agate went. It's with the gnomes. They went through a little portal in the tree. But beloved Mika, what's up? What's up? Man, Riley Rage. I feel like now before I even get into this, I wouldn't be able to fully answer it accurate to the English perspective of, not matter of fact, and say that, what, give me a second, Riley. Let me look up this. Cause I was gonna say, like, I don't know what the true definition, and I say true, but what's the common definition for pride in essence? different little vibes. So one definition is to be especially proud of a particular quality or skill. One is consciousness of one's own dignity. And let's see, a feeling of deep pleasure. A feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements. The achievements of those with whom one is closely associated are from qualities or possessions that are widely admired. So, with that being said, and when, again, like, our ego serves a purpose. It's neither good nor bad, but there is, again, like an aspect of it being, unhealthy and healthy in our experience. And I'm not going to use the word pride. I'll just express this in my best way, And you could say, like, from the definition of, like, being proud, like, hey, bro, like, I did that, you know what I'm saying? But it's a thin line between that, like, pride within itself is almost like, it's like on a thin line of, like you got non-toxic right here and toxic right here, and pride is a expression that's, like, sitting right on that, because, again, everything has its negative and positive to it, but, again, it's like the pride has that vibe as far as dealing with the ego. Let's say that from with the perspective of dealing with the ego and the healthiness of the ego, pride tends to lean in the unhealthy space, because where the pride comes in, sometimes we could over-identify with, what we got going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, we over-identifying with, again, hence why they use the word with, I brought up in my live video with, the LGBT community, they use pride. Because, in essence, like, that's another thing, like creating a prideful egregor. Egregor is like the energy, almost like an entity created by the mass of a group, like a thought or idea, aka, like, again, like in the Gnostic scripture, speaking on, like, the aeons, archons, in essence, gods being like a thought or idea, But again, like Cause one of the things I realized, again, like on my growth, to be confident and appreciate yourself, be confident in what you do, don't, you know, like, cause even with the humble thing, having a balance with that, like humbleness, but not to the point where you, like, belittle yourself, like, not belittling yourself, and know, like, shit, like, you do be in alignment, like, you do come with that shit, like, feel, strong about yourself, because I feel like there's a level of being strong about yourself that doesn't harm, others on a toxic level, you know what I'm saying, harm yourself or others on a toxic level. But then again, in another definition, but that's just the double-edged sword, or the triple entendre quadruple-edged sword of words in English, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, like, one word, because that's what it's really coming down to. We really also just uncovering how much the English language just complicates everything. Because on a feeling level, if you strip the words away and trying to explain all this shit, maybe the person who once, when words existed, they would have been against each other, but now, because they ain't holding on to word boxing, they might, have a close, find out that they got a closer vibe. And again, it's just all about straightforward awareness, because it's not, again, like from that perspective of like, oh, everybody just be nice with each other and no pride and no, like, nah. It's just like, just, and really, understanding it. And it's like, in every way, form, or fashion, whenever I was able to, you know, transmute unhealthy ego, it has proven to be very productive for me, you know, and my spiritual growth and understanding, down to the point where, again, like, even being more insightful, the more I kind of didn't identify so much with my ego per se, And with any growth, you gotta start off kind of to some extent in the extreme, and then let off the gas to some extent. What I mean by that, like, if you've been alcoholic all your life, you know, in order to kind of shift that energy, you gotta quit, for good, like almost extremely, but not saying extremely, but strongly, for you to get to a space where it's like, all right, now I'm straight. And now even possibly I could have a casual drink without going back to drinking it. But like, like giving yourself that little space. And dang, I forgot what an analogy I was gonna bring in with that. I forgot what analogy. What? Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, to answer that question, you know, I answered that question without giving it, no right or wrong to it. I just answered it. All right. All right then, y'all. I'm out. Y'all already know. Be aware of all this air elements right now. Probably want to be aware to bring our awareness into the body a little more. Because I know there's some Sagittarius and some Libra alignments. I think Moon in Sagittarius and Venus in Sagittarius. So that's fire, but again, where I said air in essence, two upward triangles, fire and air. Stay in alignment, protecting yourself with your own understanding of self and integrity. Being present in the now moment to moment awareness. Each situation play out differently, moment to moment. Yep. Again, hitting the like buttons. Subscribe, notification bell for the notifications. I know the light bringer brought up for donations. I have again like the Cash App, PayPal, Venmo listings underneath the video in the details. And then all donations greatly appreciated. And I also created I now have consultations, spiritual consultations, and I got it made through the Square Booking. But if you go to my Instagram page, you could book from my Instagram page. So, working on having that ready. But yeah, I got the 45-minute and 2 hour session. And again, general spiritual consultations. I have some of the details, and you can also still email me, for details as well, because I'm constantly building this as I go with my website and everything. So, I appreciate y'all patience. Love y'all. Yeah, straight up. But y'all already know now's the vibe break. Hope something mentioned.